already designed and thought of EDVAC before. So EDVAC, which was the stored program computer that they were all building for Aberdeen, was already in the works. So, and also Press and John had this difficulty with patents with pens, so they left and formed their own company. So I left to go work for Press and John. And then they were busily building the first commercial computer, which was the UNIVAC. And as many of you may remember, at one time in this industry, a UNIVAC meant computer, the same way Frigidaire means refrigerator. You know, you'd say, well, did you have a UNIVAC? And that was one of the most exciting times of my life because, first of all, I turned from a programmer into a logical designer because I did logical design on UNIVAC 1 and put in the check circuits and stuff like that. So, and the team, and I'm sure you've seen these team efforts here, but the team that designed UNIVAC 1 was like 12 of us. So it was, I mean, it was unbelievable esprit de corps, and we worked all the time. It's about all you do. But it was not, I loved it. I really loved it. Then one of the things that I think people who have never been there can't understand how much fun it is to work your mind and your body at full capacity for periods of time. It's very exhilarating. And then, of course, the sense of accomplishment once it's done is incredible.
That relates entirely to the work that we do. That hasn't changed. How did your job evolve and your career evolve?
Well, I went to Aberdeen when the Eniac was about a year old. It was moved to Aberdeen Proving Grounds, where they had built a whole building to house it. And then they moved the machine down. They just tore down a wall on the side of Moore School and took the machine out. You know, they had built a boat in a basement and had to get it out, so they tore down a wall and took it out. And when it got to Aberdeen, of course, everything had to be retested. The whole machine had to be reassembled and retested. So the first year I was down there, about 3/4 of the year anyway, was spent just reassembling the Eniac and getting it all tested out. And then after John Mauchly had been the chief engineer, no, not the chief engineer, but he was the design engineer and inventor of the Eniac, and was very much interested in what it was doing once it got to Aberdeen. And he kept coming down to visit it and eventually me. And then the following year, in 1948, we got married. And then I left the business entirely. Betty and Betty Holberton went to work for John Mauchly and Press Eckert, but I was needed at home, at his home, and so I never went back to work.
What do you think was your personal contribution? What do you, when you look back and think about what you did, what was the spark that you think you brought to the table?
Well, I don't know. I thought at the time that I had a lot to do with how we actually did design the programming for how Eniac itself would be programmed. That was before it was changed to a machine that was stored program.
Well, I'd like to say what I think she brought to it.
That's a good idea.
Because she was, Betty Holberton and I were the workhorses of the crew. And a very logical A, B, C, D, and all this kind of stuff. Kay is much more creative than I will ever be. And she was the one that helped us really understand this business about reusing code. And, you know, how to split it up to reuse code and all this. She was very creative, and I really think she was the most creative person.
Well, a little equal time here. Kay, what did Jean bring to the table here?
Oh, my.
Give you some equal time. What did Jean bring to the table?
Oh, please.
Well, I think, number one, her great good humor. We had long, tedious days and nights. We were supposed to work for 8 hours. That 8 hours went into 10, 11 hours most nights.
And that was without Jolt Cola.
That was what?
That was without the high caffeine colas.
Oh, yeah, no caffeine, no Coke or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I don't think we ever brought anything to eat into the ENIAC room,
No.
did we? No. But number one was, as I say, the high spirits which he brought to the whole group, and I think she also was very, very creative, and her subsequent career proved all of that.
What do you look back at, and what do you see as, you know, your shining star? What are you the most proud of?
Jeez.
I know, it was a trick question. We didn't have that on the list that we went over.
I tell you the truth, I never even think about that.
Okay.
I mean, I was there, I did the job. I have no delusions that if I hadn't have been there, somebody else wouldn't have done it. I mean, I do not, I think I was full of it and would have done something, because there's no doubt about it that I was ready for an adventure and something that was new and different and exciting. So I have no doubt if I hadn't been picked for an ENIAC program, I'd been off doing something else.
First woman on the moon. What do you think?
I think in general that most of us just thought it was part of our job. I mean, this was something that had to be done, and we went right ahead and did it the best we were able to, without anybody to show us how to do it.
Did you have any sense that you were creating history,
Oh my God, we talked about it 9 days. I mean, of course. I mean, socially, that's exact. In fact, my ex-husband, well, my husband at the time, got very bored hearing us talk about it, because socially,
This is my life.
we would go into a room and we'd start out with the pleasantries of life, and the next thing you know, we'd be into talking about computers and where they were going to go and what we were going to do and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we thought about it 9 days.
Yeah, and you know, looking back, it didn't seem as if there was a lot of romance going on at the time. We were each doing our own, and yet Betty married one of the engineers at the Moore School. Fran Beelis married the Army engineer that was assigned to the ENIAC. I married John Mauchly. Betty Holberton, Betty Bartik, excuse me. Betty Snyder married John Holberton, who was our immediate supervisor, and and one of the girls married a dentist.
Okay. You brought some, I want to get into some of the people that you've been talking about and get your impressions on some of them. A lot of these are very significant names to us in the industry, of people that we've kind of come to admire. But first, you brought us some pictures, and I'd like to show the pictures, and if you could tell us who they are. Now, this one, it's kind of easy to talk about. I'm going to figure out how to do this. Lower. Down further.
Why don't you
There
look
we
at
go.
it here, Betty?
Look at that.
Look at what she's showing.
When I first came to Philadelphia, I went down to have my picture taken, and there was a little old man down at 4th Street, at 4th Market in Philadelphia, and he really took a shine to me. So I had dozens of these pictures that he took of me, and he used to shine them on the wall of 4th Street so the trolley could see what magnificent pictures he was taking. And I was 20 years old at that time. And this is Betty Holberton and Betty Snyder Holberton and me on my wedding day. And that was December 14th, 1946. We were running around that morning, and somebody took our picture. I was 20, almost 22.
Hey, where's that wedding picture you had with John Mauchly?
Oh,
Yeah.
do I have it here?
There's your envelope.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
She has
another one
a
here.
really wonderful picture taken on her wedding day.
Do I have these set up?
Okay, those are the 6 programmers taken in 1986. Kay had a party for us in downtown Philadelphia. To the left is Ruth Lichterman, and then John Holberton, who was our manager, then Fran Beelis, and
Right,
behind her,
The camera's moving on us.
am I going too fast?
No, he just moved the camera on us. There you go.
Fran Beelis in the black dress, and behind her is Betty Holberton, and then Marlon Westcoff, and behind her is Homer Spence, and then me, and then Kathleen.
Yeah. Just for interest, they were up in the library earlier, and they were identifying some pictures that we have in stores here, and they had names of people that we'd never had on file. It just said, you know, unknown, and they've actually been filling in some of our archive information. Okay. Oh, here's that wedding picture.
Yes, this is the wedding picture.
This is John.
And who's that old lady on the left?
That's, well, he's Al Kozak, but he's not, he wasn't involved in
He
it.
was a friend of Bill's.
Okay.
Oh, the other one was my husband.